Guys, how are you? It's a long time since I done one of these videos. In fact, I set up this YouTube channel because of the case down in Enniskerry. You might remember Justine Valdez. That was a very sad case in Enniskerry. You might remember that. And a lot of the time I used to make the videos from the car, and it's just I'm really busy. I'm flying from place to place at the moment, so I just decided to do one today, and because a lot of people have asked that I do one. So you might remember 6 weeks ago, the farmer in Kenmare, Michael Gaine, went missing, and up 6 weeks later there's been no trace of him at all. Gardaí are none the wiser as to what's been going on. They may have some leads in certain directions, but obviously for operational reasons they're not going to release that. But just to give you a little bit of background information on this case, it's to do with a farmer in Kenmare. He's a long-standing resident of that area. He's been there for a long time and had a lot of cattle and a lot of sheep on the farm, and by all accounts he was well liked. He, on the 20th of March, was seen in White's Centra, and he was buying a breakfast roll, from what I can gather. Not too sure if there was a can of Coke with that, or a bottle of water, or a packet of crisps, or whatever, but that's what he was seen buying. And you can see him on the CCTV, so he was definitely there at that time. So they know for a fact, through that pretty clear CCTV from White Centra, that he was there and he bought that breakfast roll, which makes a lot of sense. So that is it. He wasn't reported missing until the following day. From what I also know, and has been in reports, is that there was a man living on his land that he knew about. He obviously knew, an American man. I don't know if he's a soldier or a Marine. There's been reports about that. I don't know too much about his background, but I just know that he was allowing a man to stay on his land. Don't know if there was a fee changing hands, or he was just out of the goodness of his heart, he was allowing him to stay there. But that seems to be a fact at the moment. His partner Janice made a statement to the media yesterday. I was watching her on Virgin Media News talking, and she was appealing for him, hoping he'll come back. A lot of people analysed the video of Janice talking, and I don't want to come on here and be disrespectful. It's an ongoing case. There's no point saying, I think, that person looked guilty, or that. There were a lot of comments under the videos where they were posted, and on the RT website as well, just to say that she was talking in the past tense. And yeah, I know we've probably all seen these crime shows where it's a red flag when someone talks in the past tense. But I think in this case, the case a couple of days ago was upgraded, or at least 24 or 48 hours ago was upgraded to a homicide. So her talking in the past tense maybe shows that she's come to terms or accepted that he's dead or whatever. That's usually the case. Now in her statement that she was reading out, or her appeal or whatever, she also said that she hopes he comes back, and he hopes she comes in through the door and all that sort of stuff, or in that kind of way. But he's not going to come in. If it's a homicide, he's dead. So I don't know what she meant by that. Now, people are traumatized in a situation like this. None of us know how we would react to somebody going missing like that. Although I do know, and this is just me, everyone's different, everybody does things differently, but I do know, I'm on my way home now, I'm driving home from work. If I didn't appear home at work, somebody would be ringing my phone and wondering, where are you? Why aren't you coming home? what's going on. And as the day progressed, like what time is it now? It's 6:30 in the evening. So as the evening progresses, if there's no sign of me by 11 o'clock, I would assume somebody's going to go down to the local Garda station to report me missing and not wait the next day. And I know I'm an adult and all, but there's nowhere else I'm going to be, and I'll always let somebody know close to me know where I'm going to be, as indeed most of us would do. Most of us are like that. We would always let someone know, if it's your mum or dad or your wife or your husband or your boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever it is, you'll always tell them where you are. So overnight, and that person still hasn't come, I don't know, it just seems, I don't think I'd have let it get to that stage where they're missing that long. So that, for me, raises a little bit of suspicion. It's nothing major, but it's just a little bit long, and that's just me. I do differently, but other people wait, a bit longer. Maybe if that person has gone missing before, maybe because of mental health problems, there could be issues there in relation to that. So maybe that's why they didn't do anything, so there can be reasons for that. So at this stage, if we go back to the 20th of March when he was in the centre getting his breakfast roll, around the same time, I know I'm driving it, this is probably annoying to you as I'm driving, but I'm doing my best to keep an eye on traffic and follow all the road procedures and the lights and everything. But at the same time, on the 20th of March, around him getting the breakfast roll, there was a drugs seizure in Kenmare, a drugs haul of €20,000 worth of cannabis, and there was somebody arrested for that. So again, Gardaí have probably ruled that out as any kind of connection to the case, but you can Google that and go back to the 20th of March, Kenmare, drug seizure, and he goes missing on that day, and that happens again. Needs to be followed up, probably has been followed up, and they have their man, and they don't suspect that Mr. Gaine had any connection to that. But it's just worth mentioning because you never know, and as far as I'm concerned, there's no connection to it. I'm not saying there is, I'm just saying it is a coincidence, but sometimes coincidence mean nothing, and it just happened on the same day. But it's worth noting that did happen, and he then went missing. Usually in these cases, and some of these cases that I've covered in terms of missing people ever since Justine Valdez went missing, and I think it might have been 2020 or 2019 or thereabouts, in Enniskerry. That's when I set it up. So I've done a lot of cases where people have gone missing, and it's usually, if there's foul play, it's someone you know. It's very rare that it's just somebody breaks into the house and kills you and takes you away. That's really a rare situation. It does happen, but I think in this case, it's more someone he knows is responsible for his disappearance. Now, they did mention the Gardaí, and they'll be doing a thorough job. I mean, the Irish police and detectives, because even if you look at a lot of the detectives and even some of the former detectives, I mean, you look at all the cases Alan Bailey worked on. His book Missing Presumed is a very good read. They do work hard, and they follow up all these leads. So I'm not here to try and scupper that, just to lay out what we know so far in terms of all the facts that have come forward and a lot of the stuff that's been already mentioned in the newspapers and online. But if you go back to all these missing things, it's usually someone you know, that's for sure. So I think whoever is responsible for his disappearance, and particularly the fact that it's been upscaled to a homicide, they did mention that homicide can kind of mean that it could be a manslaughter thing, that somebody accidentally killed him, or that it was a deliberate act, possibly planned. I mean, there's no way of knowing, and we don't have a body there's also a chance that he did decide to go off and disappear. People do that. People do just get up and go and you never see them again, and they kind of plan it in such a way. But I think in this case, I don't think he did. I think he's a farmer, a wealthy farmer, probably has a lot of acres of land. I would imagine it would also have a life policy as well, and there's lots of areas to follow up. There's lots of leads in terms of the whole case to follow up there. Reasons why he would go missing. I think he's in his 50s, is he, or around that? So he would have a lot of land. Farmers also argue with each other. They have a lot. We've seen in the news over the last 10, 20, 30 years. You only have to look at the film The Field and look how angry it made people, over a block of land. How people can get very angry and disputes can happen. Also inheritance. We've seen people fighting over inheritance. And all those things. In Ireland, a lot of people don't talk about that publicly. It's all kept hush hush. But behind the scenes, in a lot of families, there's always problems. There's no family that's perfect. Don't ever think everyone's family's perfect. There's always, especially if there's a lot of siblings, lots of rows and lots of fights, and there's the favourite and the not so favourite, and it just causes all sorts of abuse. But things can escalate. I mean, remember in the Joe O'Reilly case, he was emailing his sister saying the most despicable things about Rachel in his emails, and he thought that was normal to say those things. I mean, there were awful things to say, and that's what goes on sometimes in families. People say things like that behind other people's backs. Not everybody, but it happens. Now, I'm not saying in this case it did happen, but people can analyse Janice's statement yesterday or her appeal, hoping for him to come back, and you can go through. It's very easy to go on TikTok or Instagram and say, she's guilty of sin, but she's traumatised. Her partner is missing, and there's no sign, no trace of it. And if Gardaí do suspect that the perpetrator is closer to home, they will investigate that. I just think, though, that she should have come out and made that statement in relation to his disappearance earlier. That should have been done maybe within the week of when he disappeared. Now, she may not have been in a good place. She might have been really down over it, as you would be. Might have been taking medication to calm her nerves. Someone close to you is missing, no sign of him, and Gardaí think it's murder. Of course you're not going to be in a good place. But look, she should have come out and done it earlier, because we're 6 weeks into it now. Better late than never, but it's still kind of late. 6 weeks is a long time, and I don't know why it took that long to make that appeal. But anyway, she's done it, and that's the most important thing. So again, they obviously would have questioned the man on the land. They would have looked. I mean, can you imagine trawling through that much CCTV? Fair play to the guards that have to do that. You have to sit down in a room, and I'm sure you're on the clock and people take over from each other, but you're going through thousands of hours of footage, and I'm sure they have found vehicles coming in and out of the area. The fact that his RAV, I think he drives a RAV4 or whatever, it's like a Jeepy thing, that was out. Now, again, reports of this, aren't very clear, but it wasn't. Some neighbours had said in reports that his RAV wasn't parked up beside his house or whatever, that it was down more near the entrance or the gate to the place, and his phone and his wallet and all were inside the car. Everybody has their phone with them these days. You don't go anywhere without the phone, so that's suspicious in itself that it was left there. Someone didn't want either Michael to be found or traced, or he didn't want anyone to trace him. But if they think it's a homicide, then somebody left those things there. So on the 20th of March, when he was coming back from White's, I don't have the CCTV footage in here in front of me. I'm sure they do, and they can see exactly where his RAV went. Where did his vehicle end up? Where was it going? Did it arrive back? Did he meet someone along the way and somebody drove his vehicle back to the farm or whatever? I don't know if he lives in a home that's further away from the farm or it's all connected. I don't know that, but the fact that the roll and the thing, that would mean if you're just coming home and you saw someone at the gate that you recognised, you'd sort of stop and get out and go, oh yeah, I'll start. And then something happens, something ensues, and you would have left your phone on the passenger seat. So he could have done that anyway, but just saw someone he knew, and then something happened. So it at this stage looks like it's someone he knows has done something to him. Now, either, as they say, it could have been an accident, manslaughter thing, something happened, he got hit or whatever, or something was planned. So either way, it's very sad. So you can leave your comments in the comment section. I'll leave it open, but please be respectful and don't mention any kind of names of people. Oh, I think it could be that. Don't mention that if you wouldn't mind, because it's not me who'll get in trouble. You're the person who wrote it. You will. I have to be careful about things like that. So just be aware, be very respectful of what you put down in the comments, because it's an ongoing case. So we have to be respectful of both Michael and the family as well. But let's hope something changes in the case over the next week or so, and that Gardaí can update and give us some information, and maybe somebody will come forward with some vital information, or somebody might come forward and say, look, I'm responsible for Michael's disappearance or whatever. You never know. Things like that can happen, and let's hope. Let's hope nothing did happen to him. If he went off on his own accord and decided to disappear, and maybe in the future his body's found, it's sad and it was a suicide or whatever. But I always hate the fact that something might have happened, and all these things. If someone does disappear like that, it's usually over money. It's always money is always the people kill for money. Also love interests as well, stuff like that can also cause people, but usually money or inheritance or financial gain. But the Gardaí aren't stupid, they'll know that anyway. They'll be following up all those leads, and knowing the Irish Gardaí and the detectives and the good work they do, they probably already have somebody in mind, but they have to be very delicate and they have to follow the procedure and see if that person can crack or come forward, but the reality is it certainly looks like Michael's not coming home, which is very sad. No one deserves that. We all live our lives and try and do our best, but at the end of the day it's certainly not possible for that. It's not possible for him to come home. I certainly don't think that anyway. At this stage, it'd be great if he just walked through the door and came here, but anyway, I don't think that's going to happen. We shall see what happens anyway, and I'll update you on X. Make sure you follow me, JohnnyBo1 on X, and this video will be put up there, and you can leave comments in the YouTube video. Guys, have a great day, have a great evening, and Spurs are playing tonight, my Tottenham Hotspur, so hopefully they can beat Bodo Glimt. Let's hope that's the case. Make sure you subscribe. Talk to you soon.